He showed against Dublin in this year's All-Ireland semi-final that he's still very much at the top of his game. Please welcome a legend of Gaelic football, Colm Cooper. Colm, thanks very much for coming in, first of all. We were talking about a 19-year-old player in hurling, in this case, playing in an All-Ireland final. You have that experience yourself back in 2002 as a 10, I think you said you were around 10 stone at the time, against an Armagh defence. How was that experience for you?
It was an education, that's for sure. Yeah, it was just amazing. It was a roller coaster. Things happened so fast that I didn't really know what to think. And I was even watching Shane O'Donnell last weekend. It brought me back to my first year with Kerry, where we got to an All-Ireland final, and it was just, everything happened so fast that you don't have time to think about it. And it was a great experience, but playing a 10 stone against Armagh in All-Ireland final, I can tell you, was no fun.
I suppose the equivalent of that All-Ireland replay in football this year was probably your semi-final against Dublin. Everyone, I know you weren't happy not to win, but it was an amazing game and you played particularly well yourself. Do you arrive at Croke Park on days like that and know yourself that you're going to play well? Have you got no doubt that you're going to put in a performance?
Well, that's why you train all year, I suppose. That's why you go back training in January, to put in the work, put in the training. I suppose at the back of your mind there's always a question mark about can you still do it, can you perform? I suppose I was 30 this year, which was a little bit of a milestone birthday, and I suppose there was a little bit of perception out there that Kerry were maybe slowing down, that the legs were slowing down, but I always felt confident that we would put in a big performance against Dublin.
For you personally though, is that the dream scenario? Full house, not necessarily Dublin, but in this case Dublin, Croke Park. It's always struck me that you, some players maybe said they try to block it out. You seem to embrace that whole big occasion. Yeah,
definitely. I suppose I've played for Kerry for 12 years and we played in Croke Park all the time, and it's my favourite stadium out of everywhere I played. Like, I love playing in Killarney, but there's absolutely no place like Croke Park in front of 80,000 people, and it brings a certain amount of nerves, but to perform on that big day, that's what it's all about.
There was a pass in the game, Cian O'Sullivan was talking about it. He said he thought Ger Brendan and him had you kind of blocked. The ball makes its way to Donegal Walsh, James O'Donoghue, and it's, you know, Kerry score. I've been reading a lot about Dennis Bergkamp recently. This pass had something of him about it, and he said the greatest thing in the game is when you can sort of these moments of telepathy with teammates. You know, a move like that, rather than something that you just do yourself. When you combine with the others in the team to a good effect that way.
Yeah, I suppose the Kerry players and forward line have been together for a long time, so there's a certain amount of chemistry built up between us, I think. And that particular pass, I think I just got a little bit of a sidestep on Ger and Cian that day, and to be honest, Donegal Walsh was in so much space, it wasn't all that much of a eye-the-needle pass, but just got it through, and he finished it really well. But I think that chemistry builds over 10 or 12 years of playing together, and that's the real secret behind it.
Is it something that becomes important on the biggest occasions, because, you know, 80,000 people, maybe you can't really hear each other so well?
Absolutely, yeah. In Croke Park, you can't hear 20 yards away from each other, you know, so there's no point roaring or screaming at the guy, he won't hear you. So you're really basing it off what you've trained for, and what again, that word chemistry comes up, and what you're expecting a player to do and where to move. And that's basically what we're all about, and it's those small margins that make the difference, I think. Basically, I think the top teams in Ireland are at a very, very high level, and I think it's just that those little bits of brilliance that define whether you're going to win or lose.
Colm, you've obviously got to this incredible level of football and achieved a huge amount in your career. When you were, if you could take us back to, say, when you were 13, 14, that kind of age, did you at that point think that you you're not going to be over cocky about it, but did it feel to you that you were able to do things, you were more skillful than other guys out there?
I suppose going back to my club days with Dr. Crokes, I probably grew up in a team that wasn't very. Guys enjoyed playing football, but they probably weren't as driven as me. I wanted to win every game, and unfortunately, for when I was growing up, we used to lose most games. Just the way the cycle went, our team weren't as talented as other teams. But I was very driven when we won games. It was very rare, actually, but when we lost games, I was more disappointed probably than anyone else. So I suppose from that age, I knew I was very driven, and I cared more about it, and it was more important to me. And I think that sort of background and upbringing probably taught me a lot of good lessons.
Did you take that out on the others?
Sometimes, yeah. They probably won't have too many nice things to say about me, but that was just the way I am. That's in my demeanour. I just wanted to win. I love football so much. It's been a huge part of my life, and from a very early age, that has been the case. So I probably took it out a couple of times, right, guys.
Colm, what sort of a role did your dad play in that formation of you as a young man, young footballer?
A huge role, really. I suppose I come from a big family where I have 4 brothers, 2 sisters, and my mum. They're all into football in different ways. And I suppose as the baby of the family, I was with my dad most of the time. We used to go to games on a Tuesday or Wednesday night, maybe when the club weren't even involved in games. We'd go and watch games. He would just have a general huge interest in going to the games, and I used to tag along, and we had great fun. And he was never the type of guy to give too much advice or criticism or anything like that, or plaudits if they were to be given out. He was very much probably in the background, but probably he took everything in very well, and he was a good judge of what was going on.
So he wasn't one of these pushy parents. You wouldn't have those awkward car drives home where he's telling you everything you did wrong all day.
Yeah, no.
I think a few people have had those by the sound.
Yeah, I've had a few of those drives with my brothers, not so much with my father. But no, he was more reserved. I think he could feel for me. If he'd know if I was disappointed, he'd know if I was happy with my performance, and he used to kind of understand that I was a good enough judge of my own performance, and I think he left me be.
When he passed away, Colm, in 2006, you were back playing football almost immediately. You went on. It was business as usual on the field. You won an All Ireland that year. Did that, coming back to football so soon, did that sort of delay the grieving process for you?
Yeah, I definitely think so. I think he passed away probably in April time. So if memory serves me right, I think we played Dublin in a league game in Killarney on the Sunday, and I remember Jack O'Connor was the manager at the time, and they were kind of wondering, did I want to play, was I able to play? And I kind of made a decision during the week that I wasn't able to, that I didn't feel I was able to play. And come Friday, my mom kind of advised that she thought I should play. So I think probably going back with Kerry and getting amongst the friends and the group again, and it was just back into routine as quickly as I could, really, and that definitely helped me. And although my form that season had probably dipped a little bit, and it was a little bit Jekyll and Hyde, it was up and down. Eventually, we turned out to win the All Ireland, and it turned out to be a great season. And I certainly think that getting back in amongst the group certainly helped me.
When you won the All Ireland, you lifted the trophy, you lifted Sam with Declan O'Sullivan that year. Were you thinking of your father at that point?
Yeah, probably at the final whistle. That's your initial thought, you know. You'd probably be saying you wish he was there, but all our family were there, our nieces and nephews were there, so it meant a whole lot at that time. But it was a lovely gesture by Declan to come up, because he was the captain for the year and I had been captain for a few games previous. So to go up the steps to Hogan stand at any time is a very proud moment, but to do it that particular year meant an awful lot to me.
You said the same year, Colm, actually, you gave an interview to the Examiner. This is 2006. If someone asked me now, could I see myself playing for another 5 years, I couldn't say that honestly. For me to give it another 5 years at this level seems a lot. So it's 7 years since then. What changed your mind?
I suppose sheer love for the game, really. I suppose if you're playing, I was talking to Shane Kern a little bit earlier, he's still playing football and he's 42, so I don't know if I'll be playing at that age, but I think it's something I've grown up with. I love doing it. I feel I'm still good enough to perform at the level required. And I just really love going, like we talked about, going out in front of Croke Park in front of 80,000 people. That feeling is incredible. I've done it since I'm 18 years of age, so I just want to continue that as long as I can do it. And if I'm fit, happy and healthy to do it, why not?
Does the fact that you would say that at that time, though, maybe indicate something about the heavy responsibility of being a Kerry footballer? I mean, it's a really intense football culture. You know, as one of the main players in that you were maybe feeling at the time, this is a lot to have to deal with.
It is, certainly, if you're growing up in any county, and particularly Kerry, that there's huge demands. You're expected probably to be in Croke Park every year. If you don't win the All Ireland, it's a failure. Like it or not, that's the expectation, and you learn to grow up in that. And after a little bit of time, you learn to deal with it probably a little bit better. But I know since I've come in and put on for 10 years, I was wearing the number 13 jersey for Kerry, and that brings a huge responsibility. And knowing that you're looking to play well every day for Kerry to win, and that you have to get a certain amount of scores. But I enjoy that. I embrace that challenge, and some days you'll do it, some days you'll come up a little bit short. But in Kerry, I suppose the public are very knowledgeable GAA people, and they've been spoiled for success, and they're demanding it all the time. And
that must get annoying sometimes.
It's challenging. It's challenging at times. Maybe not so much annoying, but yeah. Look, everybody has their opinion, and you're meeting them on the street, and they'll be asking how was the game going, what will the team be the weekend. And I suppose this year we had a little bit of a different scenario because of we had training kind of behind closed doors, and we were one of the last counties to do it, and people didn't really know what was going on, so they'd be checking you out for more information on the street. So it was good fun.
Colm, you said earlier on that your club team at your age group wasn't particularly good growing up, but you're from a very strong club, and you've been very successful in recent years. Now you've a championship semi-final at the weekend, but you're going for a place in history 4 in a row this year.
Yeah, it's a big thing for the Crokes. You know, Kerry is a very competitive championship, and we lost 3 finals before we actually won one. So we're very hopeful this year. You know, we feel we have a very good squad, and we have big ambitions, and our management certainly have big ambitions as well. So we're just hoping that we can hopefully get back to the Kerry County Final and represent Kerry in the Munster Championship. And if we could do that, we'd be absolutely delighted.
We wish you well on that one. It's been great talking to you today. Colm Cooper, everyone. We have got one more quick favour, Colm, if that's okay. You actually have a very heavy burden tonight, because you're going to decide how this good wall looks at the end of our 4-part series. First of all, Murph is going to take us through the top 10 as it stands. We can stand up and have a look.
Okay,
Murph, top 10?
as it stands, number 10 is Maurice Fitzgerald, 9 is Barry McGuigan, 8 Michael Creech, 7 Roy Keane, Henry Shafton. Top 5 then is Ronnie Delaney, Sonia O'Sullivan, Brian Driscoll is 3, Katie Taylor is 2, and Paul McGrath is number 1.
What Irish sports person are you adding to the list?
It was a tough decision, but I suppose one of my heroes, and he's another Kerry man, and he's a big hero in Kerry, and not just in Kerry, I suppose all over Ireland, it's Pádraig O'Shea.
Okay, very good. So I presume we're just going to take down Maurice Fitzgerald. We can't
Maurice has to go.
2
Kerry
Kerry
men
men,
on the wall.
2 Kerry footballers in the top 10.
Where do you want to put Pádraig O'Shea on the list?
I put a little bit of thought into this, and I couldn't drop Maurice for obvious reasons.
Okay.
Andy Lee mightn't like this, but I'm going to put him in instead of Barry McGuigan.
Okay.
Crowd doesn't like it.
I could be in trouble for that.
Okay. You've got
enough.
one more change to make now. You're not finished yet. So what else do you want to do with that good wall? Final change in the series?
There's a lot of heroes up in that wall that I've seen, and probably the biggest of them, and I've probably most admiration from up in the wall, is probably Brian O'Driscoll. So I'm going to put him to number 1.
Hey, you got that very started. A tricky one for Murphy. He's got a bit of work to do there, but as he does it, so he's at number 1. We're putting Paul McGrath.
I think he's just going to swap down to number 3.
Swap down to number 3.
Yeah.
Great
Okay,
stuff.
fair enough.
And we've got number 10, number 9 now in the good one. Murphy, you
They
finish
can
that
just
off.
edit that out. This is
Pádraig
live,
O'Shea is in
I
at
think
number
it's
9.
fine.
Colm Cooper, everybody. Brilliant, Colm. Ger Brennan missed a penalty last week, Colm, so this is the All-Ireland for you if you bury it here tonight. No pressure at all.
2 strawberry blondes, Gucci.
Strawberry blonde.
Gucci, Frickles, left, right.
He's going left by the looks of things.
Gucci.
Straight down the
This is to
middle.
put Jerry 1 up.
You right?
And now
do
for the
it.
Gucci.
That's one for Jerry now. Taking the penalty on behalf of us second captains is the former
man,
East
Gucci.
Leinster under-14 triple. We'll be there. You should come along too if you can. We'll see you soon, everyone.
She floods my mind, controls my life. Always by my side. She won't talk, but she never stops. By Ashling, she turns the screw, allows me to think. It's never come loose. I push her away, don't want her to leave. By Ashley, you've been with everyone in town, and still I can't turn you down. So next time that